Hello everybody, it's Mrs. Pound and we are starting a new chapter today, chapter 7.3 on the Sun, Earth, and Moon. And our first topic we're going to talk about is from section 731, the structure of the Moon. So our objectives today are going to be to compare properties of the Moon and Earth, to simulate the creation of lunar regolith and craters, which we're going to do in lab, and identify features on the Moon's surface. So first, a comparison of the Earth and the Moon. Unlike Earth, the Moon has a very thin atmosphere. This means it has no weather, no wind, no rain, and no atmospheric gases such as oxygen and water vapor to sustain life. On the Moon, it's just totally inhospitable to life, and they have not even found evidence of any kind of bacteria or anything on the Moon. So totally unhospitable for life. The Moon's thin atmosphere cannot protect its surface from meteorite strikes, but Earth's atmosphere burns up most meteors before they can hit the surface. That is the reason for all of these little pockmarks, these craters all over the Moon, is because the Moon's atmosphere cannot burn up meteors. The Moon's diameter is 27.25% that of Earth's diameter. Okay, so diameter, the distance across. Now this picture is not to scale. This picture is not to scale. It just was meant to show you that the Earth is much larger than the Moon. The Moon's mass is approximately 1% of Earth's mass. So very small mass. The Moon also has a very weak magnetic field, but Earth has a magnetic field strong enough to repel the solar wind. So even if the Moon had water and different things on it, that solar wind, the radiation from the solar wind, would make it inhospitable for life as well. And in fact, when astronauts go into space, they have to wear special gear and they have to be protected in such a way to protect them from that radiation. The Moon and Earth are both geologically active with quakes and faults. They have found that the Moon does have moonquakes instead of earthquakes. And Earth rotates once every 24 hours. The Moon rotates once every time it completes its orbit of Earth. And we're going to be taking a closer look at what that actually means in a future video. Now, on the Moon, there's what's called lunar regolith, and this is a loose layer of rock and dust on the surface of the Moon. Moon rocks are made of mostly minerals identical to those on Earth, but also one or more minerals not found on Earth. So that's kind of interesting that there are some different minerals. And the Moon does not have weather, so it does not experience erosion. I have a footprint here. This shows the lunar regolith, that it's kind of dusty looking and crumbly. Also, this is a footprint of an astronaut on the Moon. And the point I want to make here is that footprint is still there, even though we landed on the Moon a very long time ago. It's still there because there's no weather, there's no wind, there's no rain or anything to take that footprint off of the Moon. So it stays there, okay, until maybe a meteor hits it or something drastic like that, but it will not wash away, it will not be eroded, it just stays. On the Moon, there are what are called a mare. Maria would be the plural. A mare is a flat lowland plain on the Moon's surface filled with hardened lava. You can see such an area right here. Okay, that is a mare, and the reason they're called mares is because mare is actually sea. People thought that those were seas, that they were looking at water. That's what they thought the dark spots were. There are also what are called rills. This is a channel on the Moon's surface. We can kind of see a rill here. There are these lines, and that is from lava flows. That is magma that came to the surface. And Moon's craters were created by meteorite impacts. So all these craters, all these pockmarks, you might call them, those were from meteorite impacts. And one important thing is we only ever see one side of the moon. Actually, when they were able to see the other side of the moon, there are many more craters on the other side of the moon because that's the side that doesn't face us, and so there are more impacts on that side. So our objectives today were to compare properties of the moon and Earth, simulate the creation of lunar regolith and craters, which we'll do in lab, and identify features on the moon's surface. Don't forget your 5 questions, and I'll be back with more about the sun, the Earth, and the moon.